So when setting up the angle of your shot, there are a few things to consider. Number one, what is it that you're shooting? Are you shooting a person? Is this a talking head video? Are you shooting a product demo? Are you shooting a man? Or are you shooting a woman? I should really stop using the word shooting. I actually use slightly different camera angles when recording men versus recording women. And it also depends on the overall tone of the content that you're going for. If you decide to shoot upwards at a subject from a low angle, it's going to make that subject seem a little intimidating. This is a good way to create a sense of power within a shot, maybe even a power imbalance if that's something that you're going for. There are countless examples of this being used effectively in traditional film and media. Superhero power shots, a bad guy being revealed or coming into frame. Parents in kids' movies get this angle pretty often. But shooting upwards at a subject is a really effective way to play around with the tone of power within your videos. I've seen some people use an upwards angle, but they're not actually addressing the camera at all. They're looking in a different direction as if they're either speaking on an interview or to a crowd. And it does give them this sense of authority. If you haven't tried shooting upwards from a low angle, give it a whirl, especially if there's a topic or a subject that you would like to be considered more of an authority figure or speaker on. Could be pretty effective. Straight on eye level shots is something that I'm sure you come across all the time in content. I would say it's the most commonly used camera angle. It's what I'm using to shoot this course, but there are 3 variants to this that you should consider next time you're shooting your own content. So the 3 options when the camera's at eye level is slightly above, right dead on at eye level, or slightly below. When I am recording women, I tend to put the camera a little bit above them because I find it to be much more flattering. That's not to say like, oh, it makes them look smaller, but generally I find it to be slightly more feminine to shoot just like an inch downwards versus shooting slightly upwards. If you position the camera just below eye level, like I would say nose level, it has a much, much more masculine feel, which is totally fine. And like, if that's your vibe, if that's what you're going for, then more power to you in knowing that. I would say like 90% of the time when I'm shooting women, I tend to position the camera like more forehead level than actual eye level and just like shoot ever so slightly downwards. That could be internalized misogyny, the patriarchy, all of that nonsense. I don't care. I personally think it looks way more flattering. Plus, if you're shooting slightly downwards, if you have a double chin that you're worried about, that's never an issue. However, I will say that shooting dead on straight at eye level is going to be a pretty standard fail-safe way to record your content. Overhead shots are interesting because there's a specific place and time for them. If you're shooting a product demo, this could be very useful to have like an overhead shot of you maybe unboxing a product, assembling it, using it, whatever that thing may be. Overhead shots when shooting a person or a subject definitely gives a more ethereal feel to your videos. You're just slightly removed. It's almost like you're a ghost watching a scene unfold below you, which is a cool effect, but in my opinion, it should be used sparingly. If you do want to create more distance or even what I would say like an emotional barrier between you and your viewer, playing around with overhead shots is definitely an effective way to do that. Speaking of distance, that is the second factor we will be discussing in the next video.